Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to Nine Nar Trees podcast. Today, I will summarize and review the book. Dead Wake, The Last Crossing of the Lusitania by Erik Larson is a narrative history that reconstructs the final voyage of the British ocean liner Lusitania and the political and military currents that made its sinking in 1915 a world-changing event. Larson follows multiple threads at once, moving between the ship and its passengers, the German submarine campaign in the Atlantic, and the highest levels of government on both sides of the conflict. The book places readers inside an era when modern warfare was accelerating faster than diplomacy could manage, and when the rules of the sea were being rewritten in real time. Without treating the tragedy as inevitable, Larson highlights the chain of decisions, miscalculations, and assumptions that narrowed the margin for safety day by day. The result is both a suspenseful account of a maritime disaster and a wider portrait of World War I, at the moment it began to entangle the United States. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, a voyage framed by risk and routine. The book centers on the Lusitania as a symbol of speed, prestige, and perceived security, then reveals how that confidence collided with a shifting wartime reality. Larson emphasizes the normal rhythms of transatlantic travel, the expectations of comfort, and the way passengers interpreted danger through rumor, newspaper reports, and their own optimism. The liner was not merely a vehicle but a social world, carrying families, business travelers, public figures, and crew members who had their own plans and private anxieties. Against this everyday texture, the book shows how small choices shaped vulnerability, sailing schedules, routing decisions, and the belief that a fast ship could outrun threats. Larson also explores how information arrived unevenly. Some people understood the submarine peril as immediate, while others treated warnings as propaganda or an inconvenience. By building suspense from routine details, the narrative makes the final crossing feel contingent rather than preordained. The topic ultimately highlights a larger wartime pattern. Civilians tried to live normally while technology and strategy made normal life increasingly fragile. Secondly, Germany's U-boat strategy and the logic of escalation. A key theme is the rise of submarine warfare and how it challenged established norms of maritime conduct. Larson presents the German leadership and naval command as grappling with competing priorities, breaking Britain's supply lines, deterring neutral support, and managing diplomatic fallout, especially with the United States. The U-boat campaign emerges as a strategic answer to British naval dominance, but also as a tool that incentivized escalation. Submarines were effective yet constrained by visibility, vulnerability on the surface, and the difficulty of following traditional prize rules. These operational realities encouraged harsher tactics, while political leaders argued over how far to push without provoking a larger response. The book treats the commander of the attacking submarine as a professional actor within that system, not a cartoon villain, which sharpens the moral complexity. This topic helps readers understand why the Lusitania was not an isolated tragedy, but part of a broader contest over rules, perception, and leverage. The sinking became a flashpoint precisely because it sat at the intersection of military necessity and public outrage. Thirdly, British decisions, intelligence, and the limits of protection. Larson explores the British side with attention to bureaucracy, intelligence, and the challenges of safeguarding sea lanes during total war. The Royal Navy faced resource constraints and competing demands across multiple theaters, which meant that protecting any single ship was never simply a matter of will. The narrative highlights how warnings, intercepted information, and general awareness of submarine activity did not automatically translate into effective action. Procedures could be slow, signals could be missed, and decisions could be filtered through assumptions about what the enemy would or would not do. The book also considers the delicate balance between transparency and secrecy. Sharing intelligence broadly might have improved safety, yet it could also reveal capabilities and compromise sources. Larson portrays a system where responsibility was dispersed, creating room for hindsight to judge what might have been done differently. This topic underscores how modern conflict often turns on administrative choices and information management as much as on battlefield heroics. The Lusitania becomes a case study in how institutions struggle when new weapons outpace established doctrines and communication practices. Fourthly, American neutrality, public opinion, and diplomatic pressure. Dead Wake situates the sinking within the United States' uneasy neutrality and the political calculations of leaders trying to keep the country out of war while defending national interests and dignity. Larson shows how neutrality was not a simple stance, but a daily negotiation involving trade, travel, and rhetoric. The Lusitania carried not only people, but also the symbolic weight of whether Americans could move freely on the seas during wartime. The book traces how news of the attack reverberated, shaping public sentiment and intensifying scrutiny of both Germany and Britain. Diplomatic exchanges became a high-stakes performance, where language mattered and each side tried to steer American reaction toward its own strategic goals. Larson also explores the tension between moral outrage and pragmatic restraint. Leaders had to consider military readiness, domestic divisions, and the risk of deeper entanglement. This topic clarifies why the event became a turning point in the long arc toward American involvement in World War I. The sinking did not instantly bring the United States into war, but it narrowed the political space for continued detachment. Lastly, human stakes, survival, and the aftermath of catastrophe. Larson devotes significant attention to the people on board and the brutal compression of time that follows a torpedo strike. The sinking is presented not only as a geopolitical event, but as a human disaster shaped by physics, training, and chance. Readers see how quickly a large ship can become unmanageable, how lifeboat procedures can fail under panic and list, and how cold water and distance from shore transform rescue into a race against minutes. The narrative also highlights the uneven distribution of survival, influenced by location on the ship, physical ability, and access to information in the crucial moments. Beyond the immediate tragedy, the book considers how survivors and families carried the event into their lives, and how governments and newspapers turned personal loss into political argument. The aftermath becomes a study in memory and meaning-making: who is blamed, what facts are emphasized, and how a single incident can be used to justify broader policies. This topic reinforces the book's dual focus, combining intimate detail with historical consequence. In conclusion, this book fits readers who enjoy narrative nonfiction, maritime history, and World War I-era politics, especially those who want a story-driven account rather than a purely analytical military study. It also suits anyone interested in how large-scale events are shaped by the accumulation of individual decisions, institutional constraints, and imperfect information. The benefit to a reader's life comes from perspective. Dead Wake makes clear how quickly confidence can become vulnerability when technology, policy, and communication fail to align. It encourages more critical thinking about risk, leadership, and the way public narratives form after tragedy. Compared with many books on the Lusitania that focus narrowly on ship specifications, legal arguments, or a single national viewpoint, Larson's strength is synthesis. He connects the passenger experience to submarine tactics, intelligence limitations, and diplomacy, keeping the pace of a thriller while maintaining historical context. That combination makes the book worth buying even for readers familiar with the basic facts, because it deepens understanding of why the sinking mattered and how it rippled outward. If you want a compelling reconstruction that also illuminates the machinery of war, this is a strong choice. If you would like to support Erik Larson, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.